Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I think we are just about to make a start, so I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Daryl Cockman, and I am Head of Financial Development at East Suffolk and North Essex Foundation Trust. The purpose of today's event is to try and explain how our One NHS Finance strategy and the resources available to deliver that strategy fit together. It is a little bit complicated, and added complications in terms of our One NHS Finance team not only develop the strategy, but they do help deliver some of it. So we'll try and ensure that you get a good idea of how you can make best use of the resources, so you can either develop your career or develop yourself to be the best that you can be. I'll now be handing over to Jane Palin, who will be taking you through the strategy element.
So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session today. As Daryl said, we are going to cover the One NHS Finance strategy and talk about the resources available to help you in your role. My name's Jane. I am the director of the newly formed East of England Regional Finance Academy, but I've been knocking around in NHS Finance for probably since before most of you were born, and most recently was the finance director in the system that is Suffolk and North East Essex. So just to try and move the slides on, I'm delighted that to be here today and to try to help you find your way through all of the resources that are available. But before we get into the resources themselves, what we thought we would do is start by talking about the strategy itself. And to understand the strategy, I think it's really important that you understand what One NHS Finance is, because it started as a nationwide conversation which was open to everyone working in the NHS finance community. And I can remember just prior to lockdown coming together with all the finance directors across the country, where we had an opportunity to share what the current challenges were and to think about what we wanted the future to look like. And coming out of that, the Finance Leadership Council, which is a national leadership group that brings together people from NHS England. So it's chaired by Julian Kelly, the National Finance Director. It has representation from Health Education England, Leadership Academy, Department of Health and Social Care, and importantly, the 7 regions across England. The Finance Leadership Council commissioned a piece of work which took the form of a campaign to find out what we wanted, or what was good about what we were doing already, what we wanted to develop, and what was our vision for the future in NHS finance. And it was a great piece of work. Over 3,000 individuals took part in that campaign, that consultation exercise, and there were almost 30,000 contributions as part of that on a whole range of different topics. People could pose in their different suggestions, and people had the opportunity to like or dislike those or contradict them. It was really a very much a co-produced piece of work. And the feedback from that campaign was used to develop the new finance staff development strategy, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide. So back in 2021, the development strategy for the NHS finance function was published, and it had gave us the new title of One NHS Finance, which I don't normally read everything that's on the screen, but I think this is quite important to hear it. So the co-produced vision for One NHS Finance is that we are proud to support the delivery of world-class healthcare. We are a diverse, highly skilled and well-respected workforce with strong leadership working together to support the delivery of world-class health and care. We are innovators and problem solvers, collaborating across systems to provide the best value for patients. We strive to improve our function and develop our people, making our NHS the employer of choice for a career in finance. And together we are One NHS Finance. So I would strongly recommend, when you've got a few minutes, to have a look at the strategy. But to just give you a quick flavour of it, in the top left of the slide, I've picked out the the 6 values on which the strategy is built, and they are that we are collaborative, fair, patient-focused, innovative, inclusive, and accountable. So as part of the strategy and the subsequent work, we also thought about what would success look like. So, you know, in that future, which is coming soon, 2026, what will it look like when we've delivered our strategy? And you can see on the screen sort of nine kind of indicators of that are useful to run through. So we feel that we will have delivered our strategy when all our staff feel valued, respected and empowered to succeed, when staff have equitable access to development opportunities, when our finance departments are diverse, inclusive and represent the populations we serve, when the finance community feels empowered to innovate and share best practice, both nationally and across systems, and when finance is playing a key role in embedding environmental sustainability within all of our decision making. We'll feel as though the strategy has been achieved when we have high quality centres of excellence to support the frontline with the best technical expertise, and when finance is seen as a key player in addressing the very important health inequalities agenda. And when from a broader point of view, when the NHS is seen by the general population as a career of choice for a job in finance. Now, I've deliberately missed out the one in the centre, because the whole point of the NHS is not about providing finance opportunities, albeit that we are a very key part to delivering. We are here for the patients, and so that we know that we have achieved our strategy when, as part of everything we do in finance, we are able to put patients at the centre of everything that we do. So the strategy has three key areas that it aims to support. That's supporting our people, supporting our community, and improving our systems and processes. And there are three streams of work under the heading of One NHS Finance to help deliver that. I'm going to take you through the three areas very quickly as the next part of my presentation, but you can see them in the graphic. I'm going to start with the National Finance Academy, which it aims to be a one-stop shop for all finance training and development needs. The National Finance Academy aims to ensure that there is an inclusive, comprehensive and structured training and development programme for everybody working in NHS finance across England. And as I said on the previous slide, it's aiming to act as a one-stop shop so that people can access the opportunities available through our delivery partners, which Darryl will cover in the next part of the presentation, helping to reduce duplication and confusion over the offerings. And I still think we've got quite a long way to go on that. There is an awful lot of different resources available, but hopefully today will help you navigate through some of that. And some of it really is just about finding out for yourself what there is available. But the Finance Academy was brought together to try to pull things together and try and create a cohesive offer and make sure that there is something there for everyone. So the Academy aims to ensure that all our people are nurtured and valued, work within inclusive cultures and have great support in place, and that everybody can access the opportunities to help them to realise their potential. As part of the programme, regional finance academies have been established to help deliver that vision at local level. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about regional finance academies today, but just to say that at the end of the slide pack, there is a slide from each of the individual regional finance academies with all the key contacts in there, which will hopefully help you to find someone to speak to in your local region if you're looking for help and support. So we don't have a lot of time to go through all of the work of the National Finance Academy. So I thought I'd concentrate on the development programmes, which is a key part of the National Academy's work. Let's turn to my page in my notes. This is a graphic that I use within my patch to try and summarise on one page all of the different development programmes that there are, which cover all grades of staff within the NHS. There is also a great infographic on the One NHS Finance website, which you can have a look at, which summarises this in a much more beautiful way than I have. But I find this as quite practical that I can share with people, and it also contains the links to all the individual programmes. So as I say, there are programmes available for all grades of staff. Now, because of something that happens around about March, April time, I don't quite know what it is, something like the accounts, we don't actually have applications open for development programmes at this point in time. Most of them open again once we get to the main June period. But I would encourage you to be having a look at what's available now so that you can get yourself prepared for when the application windows do come up. And I really wanted to draw your attention to a couple of things that we've got in the National Development Programme, which are positive action programmes in line with the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy as part of One NHS Finance. So there's two mentioned on the screen. One of them is in the middle, the Breaking Diversity Barriers programme. But I'd particularly like to draw your attention to the sponsorship programme, which is at the bottom. This is a programme which is open to all grades of staff from underrepresented groups who are looking to get help from a sponsor to find their way in developing their career. So I would really encourage you to have a look at this if you would like some help in making the next step in your career and you would like some support from someone senior in the NHS. As I say, that one is open at all points, and all the details of all the programmes can be found on the One NHS Finance website. So moving on, I can see that Daryl's going to be tapping his watch soon as I move on through. But to cover the second pillar of One NHS Finance, which is Future Focus Finance, this is all about our finance community and really trying to help NHS Finance staff and organisations be great places that for us all to work. So, what is Future Focus Finance? Well, it's a national programme that's designed to engage everybody in improving NHS finance to support the delivery of high quality services for patients. It aims to bring finance staff together at all levels to build our community and ensure that everybody feels valued and has a voice. The programme provides opportunities to collaborate, network and share good ideas. And on the slide, you can see the key areas of focus for Future Focus Finance. I particularly point out a graphic in the top right, which is a snip from the NHS Finance Careers website, which is a dedicated website which has been set up to promote finance careers. Lots of great career stories on there and resources. And hopefully it's something that you can promote locally to encourage people to get involved and to think about the NHS as a place to work for accountants from any disciplines. Future Focus Finance also has lots of resources for supporting our staff. It has a programme around training for non-finance staff called Demystifying NHS Finance, where there are again lots of resources on the One NHS Finance website, but also a training programme that happens regularly, online training programme to which we tend to get really good attendance from clinicians across the country to find out all about NHS finances. Again, it's something that I would really recommend. The final bullet point is about making finance a great place to work, and hopefully you will have heard of the accreditation programme that's part of Future Focus Finance. There are 3 different levels, and we are aiming to get all organisations, all of our NHS organisations, to achieve at least level 1 to demonstrate that they are operating best practice in terms of the way that they support and train and develop their staff, as well as how they operate as an organisation. But I missed out the bullet on networking and sharing good ideas. So the real takeaway that I'd want you to take from this part around Future Focus Finance is to think about joining a network. And one of the key networks that I'd encourage you to get involved in is value makers. We've already got over 3,000 value makers across the country, and you might be sitting there thinking, oh golly, I'm not a value maker. What I do is not important. Well, a value maker is just someone who's committed to making a difference and who's passionate about the power of finance in supporting the delivery of excellence in patient care. So my great colleague Daryl, who you'll hear from in a moment, is well known for going around our conferences and telling everybody that they're a value maker, and I just want to do the same. Please, if there's one thing that you do today, if you're not already registered as a value maker, please do have a look at it. It's a great group of people to be part of, loads and loads of resources, and hopefully a great way of finding expanding your network and finding people like-minded to talk to across the NHS. So the final section is around supporting our systems and processes through the Finance Innovation Forum. Finance Innovation Forum, it's a platform for sharing existing and emerging innovations and new ways of working in NHS finance. It connects organisations and systems so that they can collaborate and identify areas of improvement in processes and systems. And one of the main ways that the forum works is by collecting, peer reviewing and sharing NHS innovations. And these are things which have already been implemented or are active across the NHS. So submissions to the to the programme are anonymously peer reviewed by 3 colleagues before being recommended either for further development to take them forward or for direct publication. And there's a number of really great innovations which I'd encourage you to have a look at on the One NHS Finance website. Submissions can take place throughout the year, but peer review runs in cohorts that happen every 3 months. We've just closed a cohort at the end of February for the latest set, but you can submit an innovation at any time. You can also become a peer reviewer. This is a great way of getting involved, to find out what's going on, to have an early sight of good things that you might want to adopt in your organisation. And the application literally takes 30 seconds. I did it myself earlier today, and really encourage you, if you are interested in what's going on in your area of expertise, please do get involved in the Innovation Forum. So as well as receiving those fully formed innovations, the forum is also about collecting problems and ideas in order to do. The Innovation Forum has got some resources that it can deploy to basically develop any problems or ideas that people have identified. So it's not just about submitting the finished product, it's also about raising issues where you identify that there's a problem that could be solved, or maybe you can see a problem and you can actually even know you've got an idea about what the solution is, but you haven't got the resources, the time, or the skills and expertise to actually solve it yourself. So one example of this is that an idea or a problem was submitted to the Innovation Forum around the trust PFR returns, and from that the idea of automating the population of the PFR return was submitted to the Innovation Forum, and the forum did a piece of work to develop the tool which is now available via the One NHS Finance site to allow people to hopefully to be able to automate their return and hopefully save everybody some time. So so it's not just about the end product. I know people are quite often worried that what they're doing is not innovative. But it really is about sharing anything that you've done that you think might help others, might save them a little bit of time. And it's also about identifying things that can be solved, because there are people out there who might have solved it or might have got the expertise to be able to solve things. So please do get involved. And my final bit on the Innovation Forum is to say that it's not just about the innovations themselves, it's also about bringing together groups of experts from across the NHS to help with future developments. I've already spoken about the innovation reviewers, which you can consider becoming one of, but you can also join one of the various networks that sits under the Innovation Forum. And I thought I'd particularly highlight the Software Skills Network, which uses the Microsoft Teams platform as a way to share resources such as videos about how to make the best use of the software that we've got available to us typically across NHS organisations. And I had a look at it, and I'm a complete technophobe, and I have to say I found it incredibly useful. So wherever you are, in terms of whether you're an expert or a complete beginner like me, there's something in the Innovation Forum that will be helpful to you in terms of fulfilling your job. So as for everything I've spoken about in this section on the strategy, there's lots and lots more details on the One NHS Finance website, and there are links to many of the resources that we've mentioned at the end of the presentation. So thank you very much for listening to this section on the strategy. I'm now going to hand back to Daryl, who's going to talk about our delivery partners.
Thanks, Jane. And just from me, just to sort of summarise, the Academy you could think of as being your professional and career development line. And obviously there was some delivery that was illustrated there. Future Focus Finance is more about personal and team development and covering health and well-being. And then obviously innovation, I'll just reiterate that a lot of people don't believe they're being innovative when they really are. So please, if you think you've got something great, tell us about it. I guarantee you there'll be somebody out there that hasn't done it and will pinch with pride. So it's not an exact science, and there is definitely crossover between those areas, but if you think of it in that context, then I think that's useful in terms of where to go to first when you're looking for things. So in terms of looking at the overall delivery, Jane, do you want to move slide on? Thanks. Here are all the different partners that we're aware of that you can access training from. Now, depending on what region you're in, the training might be free or might have a cost associated with it. And obviously, of course, your own organisation will be providing some sort of training. So I would also recommend that you find out what they've got to offer as well. I mean, it's really important to have regular conversations with your line manager about what your development needs are, what your career aspirations are. And yeah, if your manager is well trained, they should be trying to support you to either be the best that you can be within that department, or if you aspire to develop and move on, giving you the support to allow that to happen, because we want everybody to develop within the NHS. We want the ability to encourage staff to move around and progress through different organisations and gain different experiences, because that helps with our sort of inclusion and diversity. I'll talk about some of these individually. Next slide, please, Jane. First of all, here's a little bit extra on the One NHS Finance website. So Jane already provided you with the sort of the career development type events, but there is an event schedule that you know, once you've registered on the NHS Finance website, and you can always find out what is going on. There's always something happening, and you can see on this just screenshot, there's something on sponsorship and Finance Leaders Network. So that's a really good place to go to find out what's going on, whether it be national or regional. One of our other big supporters is the HFMA. There are a number of ways that you can actually get involved in the HFMA. So I think you can see from the pictures, there's sort of policy documents, so you can actually get involved and help potentially progress your career by being on a policy group, helping to sort of influence policy at a national level, provide guidance documents that can help with the implementation of policy. There's also awards that you can be recognised for. You can contribute to the Healthcare Finance magazine. You can get involved at a local level. Each region will have some kind of committee and probably some subcommittees like a student committee. And it's a really good way of getting exposure to things that sit outside of your individual organisation. It gives you an opportunity to network. So it's a really worthwhile. And if you're in bands 2 to 6, you get free membership, which is even better. And there's also quite a lot of resources. I think you've got another HFMA slide, I think, Jane. So which bits haven't I covered? So yes, so you can become an individual member. If depending on which region you're in, that membership will give you discounted rates for courses that are run. Some regions operate a levy system, which means that the courses will be free, as each organisation has contributed to sort of making them free. As I say, I've talked about the branches already. There are also hub networks that people can access. And I think Jane's just listed some of the different areas where the HFMA does work, where you can get involved, such as the Costing for Value Institute, skills development network schemes, which you can access. Some of these national courses will have a cost associated with it. So obviously, best to engage your manager in terms of that discussion. And ensure that there is a funding source before you push too hard. They have national events such as the flagship annual conference, where I think it's a sort of a 2.5-day event with lots of high-profile national speakers, and brilliant opportunity to sort of network. 500-600 people in attendance. As I said before, you know, they provide technical briefings, guides, and responses to sort of healthcare policy, help to influence healthcare policy. and you can go on those groups to help provide some of that information. They also provide some formal study, such as the Masters in Healthcare Business and Finance, also a diploma in Advanced Primary Care Management, and notwithstanding over 80 different bite-sized courses. Some of them are short, medium and long, depending on which ones you're interested in. And I'm aware that some regions have sort of bought licenses. So again, depending on which region you're in, you might be able to get access to them, to the short courses free. And I think there are quite a lot of the courses that are available free through the electronic staff record. So that's something to go back and just check out. Something else that has been run before in our region, and we got really positive feedback, is what's called the NHS operating game. And this is a simulation of how it might, how a system might operate in terms of commissioning and providing. It's just in the process of being updated because obviously with the advent of ICBs and ICSs, the way in which the system should be functioning is likely to change. So they're trying to ensure that that game is relevant to what we're experiencing now in the real world. So yeah, so speak to your regions about whether that's something that people are wanting to invest in. It is a great game. And there's the link if you want to find out more. So there are an awful lot of slides in this pack, and I'm not going to go through all of them. What we are going to try and do is allow sort of 15 to 20 minutes for questions. This is going to be sort of a nice little Bible for you to access. But the next area, which again is a really important area, they have a great network of resources, is the Skills Development Network. And they have lots of booklets around health and wellbeing, professional development. They also run a huge amount of events, technical events such as Microsoft Excel courses at beginner, intermediate and advanced level. They're starting to promote courses on what's called Power BI and Power Pivot. So this is trying to use more technical building on Excel skills and using RPA type knowledge to be able to improve the way in which you can build reports and eliminate errors. You have to log on and get the register to actually access, and I think the screenshot is the sort of Jane's access area. And then you have a list of events that you can just book in. I'm pretty sure that most regions use a levy to finance this set of events, so you should find that they should be free events for you. So please make the most of accessing it. We love to have waiting lists and know that they're fully subscribed to when we run the courses. So next one I want to just talk about again is the Leadership Academy. Again, there's lots of information and resources that you can access. You can ask for coaching and mentoring through the Leadership Academy. They do run a lot of courses as well. There's probably likely to be a cost associated with them. So again, I think it's about having that discussion with your line manager and then finding out how your organisation interacts with the Leadership Academy. But again, it's obviously it's a bit more general in terms of they're trying to provide leadership resources to the whole of the NHS. So there will be some crossover with some of the things that are done between One NHS Finance and in the Skills Development Network. But depending on your requirements, the Leadership Academy could be a good area for you to access resources that develop you as an individual. Now we're coming on to the professional bodies, and I'm not going to say a huge amount about all of them, I guess in a general sense. So SIPFA is a little different from the other bodies in that it is geared at public finance, and obviously the NHS is part of the public finance arena. So it is a good accountancy qualification to consider if you are committed to public services. Doesn't mean that you can't work in the private sector. A lot of the sort of the big four accountancy bodies, accountancy organisations that work privately interact with public services, so therefore they will still take you on, certainly in a consultancy arm. So maybe a little bit restrictive, but not that restrictive in terms of developing your career. Next is CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. Now, we're providing a bit of information from their own websites about what they believe they are and what they're about, and there's also links, and the hyperlinks should work once you've got a copy of the slides to take you to the website itself. I think I'll talk about these ones in general, Jane. If you want to flick on to the next one. You've also got ACCA. Again, they've got a little bit of information about who they are, but the link is at the bottom. And then ICAEW. Again, they're setting out what they believe they have to offer to you professionally. The reason why I've just grouped all of those together is that their syllabuses are very similar. So I think that if you are considering undertaking an accountancy qualification, then probably what you need to do is look in detail at what their syllabuses are offering and their route to get yourself qualified, and see which one plays best to your strengths. Because I think that as long as you've got one of these qualifications, it is going to enable you to move as far as you want in your career. So it's really about, in one level, which syllabus gives me the best chance of passing as quickly as possible, is what you want to look at, and that might be based on, you've got a lot of senior accountants already in your organisation, therefore they can provide you some support as you're going through the training. So there's a number of factors to just take into account, but it's really about saying which syllabus suits me, because I think that bit of paper is, in a sense, on one level, it doesn't really matter which bit of paper it is, as long as you've got it in your hand. Clearly, some people may want to start out, and I have to say that this is how I started out, by doing the accounting technician's qualification first. So, for example, if you've left school after A levels at 18, then this is a route that will be a stepping stone to moving on to those full professional qualifications. I think from my perspective, it did give me a great grounding in terms of moving on to SIPFA. I guess I passed all my exams first time, so probably one stepping stone led on to another positively. So yes, it might stretch out how long it takes to become a qualified accountant, but if you take into account the fact that you've probably not gone to university to take that route, you're getting there at a very similar time, and you're working, so you've probably got some work experience that's going with it as well. Okay, so you're going to move on to that, right?
I will, yes. And sorry for cutting you off short there. That was very rude of me. But yeah, so thanks, Daryl, for taking you through all of those. I think what we just wanted to highlight there was there is just an absolute range of resources. And whilst Daryl's talked in depth about different types of qualification. Absolutely, that is the key thing that those professional bodies do. But they also have lots of resources on their website. They do lots of pieces of research into finance, some of which is specific to the public sector, some of which is more generally applicable. So do as Darryl said, have a look around, because there are some great resources, both in terms of those delivery partners that we spoke about earlier, but also in those wider professional bodies, as well as in your own organisations. So just to finish off, I was just going to talk a little bit about how can you get involved. And throughout this presentation, we've talked about lots of different ways that you can get involved, and hopefully you'll have picked up some things such as talking about being a value maker, and looking at all these resources of ways that you can use all the resources available to both increase your knowledge and develop yourself in your career. There are loads of resources out there, and it's really up to you to have a look at what's available. So on the screen, we've suggested some places that you might want to start, and just in a really basic sense, hopefully you know this already, but if you don't already, it's worth finding out who is your organisation's finance staff development lead. Each organisation has one, and that's a person who hopefully is sharing with you emails and resources about what's on in your patch. So if you don't already know it, that should be the one thing that you go away today, is to find out who is your finance staff development lead, introduce yourself to them, and ask to be involved in any communications that they're making about what's going on. Another really great place to start is that the One NHS Finance have developed a finance induction pack that actually says a lot of what we've said today. So if you prefer to have a written resource with all these links in and things like that, I would definitely recommend the finance development induction pack. The link is in the slides as just a great starting point and a refresher of a lot of the stuff that we've been through today. If you haven't already done it, and I'm sure you have by the very fact that you're here, but do register on the One NHS Finance website. It's got, as you've seen throughout the presentation, there's absolutely loads of information on there, events, resources. There are pages for each of those 3 strands that we spoke about. There are pages for each of the regions for their finance academy. So please do sign up for that, and also register to receive the newsletter, which will give you in your inbox quick digest of what's been happening in the last month. Whilst you're at it, if you haven't already done so, but I can't believe if you're here today you haven't done it already, do sign up for the Skills Development Network website for access to that free technical training programme that Darryl took you through. In our region at the moment, we're doing Power BI, finance business partnering, lots of Excel courses, etc. We do slow them down slightly because we know people are particularly busy over year end, but as the summer comes in, that programme will really ramp up, and I would really encourage you to have a look at what's on there, both for the training courses that you can register for, but also for there's a lot of resources on there for things like CPD portfolios and lots of advice type resources on the Skills Development Network, as well as on the One NHS Finance website. Darryl took you through HFMA. I would really encourage you to look out for what's going on both nationally and locally for HFMA. Have a look on the HFMA website, particularly at what's going on in your local branch. Note that the branches do have slightly different names from what we're currently using for the regions in the NHS, but it's not that difficult to work out where you are. I think there are maps on there. And do think about becoming a member. It's currently free for bands 2 to 6 to join HFMA, so please take advantage of that and do have a look at all the resources. HFMA is the voice of NHS finance, of the NHS finance profession in terms of lobbying and making resources available to help people with their jobs. So if you're interested in what's going on in terms of policy and in terms of trying to make sure that people at the centre do understand what it's like at the coalface, I would really encourage you to have a look at what's going on with HFMA. And as Darryl said, to if you're really interested, to get involved in either your local branch or one of the national committees associated with HFMA. I can't say it enough times, because if I don't say it, Darryl will come around personally and knock on your door to become a value maker. It is a brilliant thing to do. It really takes you 2 minutes to register, and you don't have to. You don't have to put in any extra time. It literally is a network where there are resources available, where people share questions, share ideas, things like that. It's just a network of like-minded people for anyone who's adding value across the NHS, which hopefully is all of us. One thing that does take a little bit more time, but I'd certainly encourage you to do, is we've got an MS Teams site, or I don't even have the right words for it. You can see I'm not very technical, but there's an MS Teams platform called the Virtual Finance Network, and I would really encourage you to sign up to that. It allows people across the whole of NHS Finance to have conversations and share resources. There are subsections for each region. There are subsections for different groups like value makers or software skills network, etc. If you're not very technical like me, what I would recommend you do is go onto the One NHS Finance website and follow the instructions step by step on how to do it, because we all know what it's like when you've got different sets of teams, MS Teams that you're trying to access and flick between them is a complete pain in the neck, and I never get round to changing over. What you can do is run the ONF Teams, the Virtual Finance Network, on a separate browser, so you can have it open alongside your normal Teams. And I don't even really understand what those words are that I just said, but just do it. The instructions are really clear, and if an old dinosaur like me can do it, then I'm sure that all of you can. And it's just a brilliant way of, if you've got, so for example, people asking for who's done some work on better payment policy, or who's got some advice on materiality around year end, and it's amazing how quickly people from across the country respond to that, as well as people sharing jobs and just social things on there. So a really, really great resource that I would encourage you to have a look at. And then the final thing for this slide, I've already mentioned value makers, but there are loads of different networks. I've mentioned some on the screen of things that you might want to join, and I won't have caught them all. So please do add into the chat if I've missed any networks that you know of that you want us to mention. But finance and clinical educators, health and wellbeing champions, inclusion and diversity ambassadors. There's the finance leaders network. Then there are specific subject area networks such as Women in Leadership in Finance. We've recently in our region relaunched our LGBTQ+ network. We've also got a Diversity Matters network. There are so many different networks. So whatever it is that you're particularly interested in, there's very likely to be a network out there for you to find like-minded people. And if there isn't, then why not set one up? So that's a challenge to you. If you looking for a very specific network, do have a look at what's out there. And as I say, if the network's not there, then we're open to thinking about establishing new ones. So that's about all that we've got to say today. The main message is really, don't worry about all the different types of resources. If we'd have designed the system, we wouldn't have designed it like this, but we are very fortunate in NHS Finance that over time, a very significant number of different resources and different providers of resources have developed, and our advice is really just have a look at what's there and look at all of them. Take advice from your line manager, your FSD lead, and regional contacts. Again, the slides are at the end for each region, and there should be something for everyone. And if you can't find it, then mine and Daryl's contacts are on numbers are on the next slide, so please do get in touch. If we can't, we'll either point you towards it, or you might give us ideas of things that we haven't set up yet. So we're very happy to help to try and organise things on your behalf. So thank you for listening to our presentation today. We really hope you find it useful. We will now have a look at any questions and just give people, if you are, if there's something that we haven't covered, or if you've got any burning questions, please do put them in the chat. When you're doing these kind of events, we can't see you, so it does feel a little bit lonely. It would be lovely if you just ask us a quick question or make a quick comment so that we know that you're there. But thanks ever so much for listening today. Our contact details, when I managed to get the slides to move, for myself and Daryl, are on there. And as I say, what we've done in the slide pack is we've included at the end a slide for each region. I'll just flick through so you can see each region, all the contacts, should you want to reach out to someone, and a set of useful links at the back. And I really will shut up now and ask our moderators if we've got any questions that you want us to answer.
We haven't got any questions come in just yet, but we'll give people a couple of minutes. They might be thinking of something.
Brilliant. I can see that that you've already been someone did ask if the slides could be shared, and yes, absolutely. Megan's already answered that in the chat. We have tried in the slides to put the links in where possible, so hopefully people will be able to kind of access them directly from the slides. But if not, the vast majority of the links are, we've tried to spell them out, and they are pretty obvious. The majority of the resources, if you go onto the One NHS Finance website and just search for what it is that you're looking for, 9 times out of 10 you will get straight to what it is that you're looking for. So just a last call for any other questions, any final comments from you, Daryl?
Just to say thank you to everybody for making the time and the effort to actually come and listen. I think it is a great resource pack. The video, unfortunately for Jane and myself, will be saved and posted. So you know, share it with colleagues, use it in team meetings. You know, it's there to steal now. So you know, if you want to promote this with your department, then it's all there. And thank you for your time again.
Brilliant stuff. It looks like we don't have any more questions, which I'm taking as we've answered all the questions there, Daryl, rather than the stunned silence. So so I don't think there's anything else to say other than thank you very much for your time today. Do you know, do share the resources, do get in touch, and whatever you choose to do in follow up to this, good luck, and please let us know how you get on.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I think we've just got a question coming in now. I'll publish it, Jane, a last minute one.
Okay, just waiting for that to come through. I think it's a bit further.
If you can't see, it says, how will getting involved help with organisational accreditation?
Oh, brilliant question. Shall I start, Daryl, and then you can tell what it's like in practice? So we talked about accreditation very briefly under Future Focus Finance. So there are 3 different levels of accreditation. Level 1 being the kind of basic level that we expect all organisations to go through. That's a self-assessment against a large number of different criteria that covers things like personal development, communications within your team, policies and procedures. It's very wide ranging. So and then levels 2 and 3 go on to look at peer reviewed, and peer reviewers come out and actually talk to people in your finance teams about what's going on. So how does getting involved help with that? Well, in terms of level 1, one of the things that we look for is that there is good involvement with that everybody within the finance teams is having their appraisals, having a finance development plan, and is getting involved in the events that are going on. So just by knowing what's going on and accessing some events, you will be helping your organisation to achieve its accreditation. Particularly when it comes on to level 2, a sample from the finance team will be talked to by assessors, and they will ask you about your involvement. But anyway, Daryl, do you want to talk a bit more widely about that question?
Yeah, definitely. So my organisation has been fortunate enough to just get level 3 accreditation just before Christmas, and being able to demonstrate that a good cohort of our department, we have a very large department, over 250 finance staff, of which probably about 180 are pure finance, and demonstrating that a significant amount of them have accessed the resources that we've talked about today, that a good number of them have chosen to get involved in the HFMA or in helping to support some of the work the Skills Development Network undertakes, or just getting involved at a regional or a system level in terms of, promoting some of the things that we talked about today. All of that it gets you a really big tick in terms of that accreditation, which obviously at level 2 you're demonstrating that you've got everything in place, and it's starting to be embedded. Level 3 is about demonstrating it's been embedded and it's consistently been embedded for a period of time, so that you, in a sense, your culture has developed to be one that supports training, development, inclusivity, health and well-being, and supports individuals to be the best that they can be in our departments. Hope that helps.
Brilliant, thank you. I think I don't think we have any more questions. We've got a very kind comment from someone about going to go ahead and go onto the IT Skills Development Network, which is brilliant. So if we've achieved something today, Daryl, and hopefully we've inspired lots more people to just give it a go, just have a look at what resources are available and get involved. So thank you very much for all of your time. Do get in touch if there's anything else that we can help with, and we look forward to seeing you at an event sometime soon.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks, Daryl.